So, what is it? Blog 5, 6, 7? I think we're all starting to lose a bit of track of how many weeks this has been now. But this is my next blog, whichever number it is. And this week I've been a bit poorly. So this has taken me a bit longer to get to it this week. It's a very strange feeling, taking a day off when you're at home, which doesn't really feel like a day off anymore. And you feel horribly guilty about not doing stuff, because essentially it'd be like taking a day off sick in your office. So that's been an odd lockdown experience. But I've been thinking over this week about the children's content that I've been creating. So I run at the Wiltshire Museum an under fives session called Curious Kids once a month, and it's 50 minutes on a theme. We start with a song. We have a song that we always sing, and then a story, and then usually some objects or something like that, some fossils, some of the Saxon handling collection, whatever attaches to the theme. And then usually 2 activities, craft activities, so make and take home, and then all back together again to show what we've made on the story mat, and to sing our song again. So that's how that works. But creating video content is really different experience, and what I found is that I've essentially thrown out loads of what I find are important to my sessions, and kind of looking back on the videos, focused on one little bit of my practice. And what that boils down to is that I am making videos for parents. So in those sessions, it's really important to me that I do talk to the parents, and that they understand that there's something there for them, and I'm building a rapport with them. But the bulk of what I do is I'm singing and telling stories directly to the small children, who are all kind of roughly the same age as my kids, so I get a lot of practice. So I play the guitar. The reason I keep doing that is because I play the guitar in the session. So, and that's a really important part for me of bonding. So what I have ended up doing, having made these videos where I'm addressing the parents and then giving them instructions, essentially, I've sort of started to backfill. So I made a little video that is direct address to the children, really, where I'm playing one of the songs. I'd done a colour activity based on the stained glass window in the Oxman and Piper Gallery, at the Wiltshire Museum, and done sort of differentiable activity for families with maybe more than one child under 5, to make their own stained glass window, maybe a rainbow, put it up in your window at the moment, all that kind of thing. And then I went and made the singing video to put back in there, because I suppose for new audiences, I was thinking about parents who are suddenly at home with lockdown and building those new audiences. But for those kind of what had become really loyal group of people who were coming to my Curious Kids, those videos weren't really reflective of what that whole thing is about. So it's a really strange set of thoughts around what are the component parts of my practice, because that evolves over time. I've been running sessions for children my entire career. I started off working in youth theatre, theatre and education, all those sorts of things. And very slowly over time, the way I do things has evolved. When I was on maternity leave, I set up, I did some storytelling sessions for under 5s, and that's really where this came from. That's where the guitar, the story, then the activity kind of format evolved. And in a really weird way, that was even away from my professional setting. So you have that ability to change and learn what works well with that audience. Not totally in private, because obviously you have participants, but in a smaller circle. And at the moment, if you're making digital content that you put out there completely, which will essentially never go away, you are involving in public, which is actually, as I may not have realised this if I wasn't doing the vlog, but it's actually quite an uncomfortable experience. I have a little bit of an attitude of just do it, don't think about it, don't think about sometimes whether you've brushed your hair well enough, or with what it's going to be. Do it first, then look at it. And obviously I do go back and redo things, but largely I don't have the time. I'm homeschooling. I don't have the time to do 100 of something, so it goes out, and then I'm looking back on those and realising those things that a big part of what I do, who I am as an engagement practitioner, are missing. But I think it's really important to look at how we engage with these family audiences at this time. So I was looking back over the Museums Week content on social media and just kind of flicking through, seeing what interesting stuff was there, and there was a post by Kids in Museums reminding me what we all know is that if children come to museums with their families and engage in something, do things with, they are much, much more likely to return. Now, we don't have that ability to invite them into our spaces at the moment, but we do still have the ability to get parents to engage their children in a participatory activity that is related to the museum. So I think I need to work a bit harder at fulfilling that remit a little better, because I am probably, through the videos I'm making, connecting really well with the parents and the idea that they understand it comes from the museum, that I am from the museum, that the objects and themes are connected to the museum. But the children who are watching my videos probably wouldn't make that connection, and perhaps I need to add a little bit of that content, either as a little separate video like I've done with the song, or something that is directly for them, because bridging that gap is so much harder at the moment, and that's where the thought needs to go for me, I think. The other thing I was doing was kind of having a look at other museums and across the partnership about what people are doing, and I think it is an interesting observation that theatres are doing kind of more interactive content. Not for schools. There's lots of museums who are doing a really good job for schools, and museums who are doing some really lovely interactive content for children. But theatres are storming it. So I'm having a good trawl over the next week, and is my plan, through the sort of work that they're doing there. And theatres like At Home in Manchester and the Story House in Chester, you can tell I'm from the Northwest, can't you? Have other remits as well. They have libraries and film archives and all these things. So they are engaging thematically with the same sorts of things, same nature of things that museums would want to do as well. So I'm wondering whether there's some kind of cross-sector inspiration that I should be accessing to kind of get where I want to be. And I've been reading the blog from the Pool Museum as well, from the engagement team there, engagement and learning team. And I think that I am going to try and talk to them over the next week. You know, I'm aware of what they're doing, we're in the same partnership with museums together, but I think that I need to kind of really reach out and try and get some of that cross-fertilisation that's so important at the moment, for us to not feel like we are creating in a bubble, and that the work we're doing isn't just like shouting into the wind. So those are my plans for the next week, as well as my reflections on the week gone by.